What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Creative Hunter podcast. This is your host, as always, Logan Romney. This episode is an awesome episode. This is with Martin Chag. If you haven't heard of him, he kills giant deer. He films it all. He has a YouTube channel. He's got an awesome Instagram, so check him out. Before we hop into the podcast, this weekend is the Hunt Expo. So if you're watching this before the Hunt Expo, you're going to see me. I'm setting up all my stuff right now. Just kind of a mock setup for my booth, but I'm super stoked. I'm going to be sharing a booth with Hardside Hydration, and if you want a Bino Visor, we're going to have them there for sale, so you guys can get a little bit of a discount on a visor. And if you're watching this after the Hunt Expo, these are always on sale, so you can check them out on the website creativehuntermedia.com and grab yourself a Bino Visor. And I hope to see you at the show. If you're going to be there, let me know. But anyways, let's get into this podcast. Catch you guys later.
Sweet.
Good work, dude. How's it going?
It's been going good. It's a little bit busy right now. Just this week is Hunt Expo. And so my move-in day is tomorrow. And I guess I can Wednesday a little bit. Just getting ready to do all that.
Nice.
Yeah. Are you gonna be out at the show?
Yeah. So I'm sharing a booth with Hardside Hydration. They're gracious enough to let me kind of just take up a little corner and just kind of hang out and help them out. And I've also got a product to sell. And the Bino Visor. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll have those there.
Right on.
And it'll be fun, so I'm excited. It's the first time I've had a booth, so.
Yeah. What day do you roll in?
I'm coming in Wednesday,
Gotcha.
Wednesday afternoon. Yeah, I have stuff going on at home. I got school classes Wednesday morning, so I can't make it down till later.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got two things that aren't going to be ready for tomorrow. My deer isn't going to be done till Wednesday. And I've got hats. I've got most of my hats, but I've got a batch of hats that isn't going to be done till Wednesday either. And I'm like, guys, like I told you weeks ago, like I have to have this stuff by Tuesday. So I might see you Wednesday if I'm still there hauling in last minute stuff. But I'm like, gosh, like pushing it for last minute because I don't even know if you can drive in there on Wednesday night. But
I know I don't really know either. So we'll kind of see what happens.
It'll work out. But yeah, I'm like, gosh, freaking running like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to rally everything together.
Yeah. How long have you done this? How many years have you done the expo?
I've had two booths. This will be my second booth on my own. Nice. And then I did one where I was like working with Warrior Fuel supplements. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I do. I know Ryan.
Yeah, I did that booth years ago. And then I've helped out a couple times at like the Hush booth when I was working with them. So I've done it a handful of times, but I've only done like my own booth. This will be the second time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you have one up last year?
No, I worked in Alpen's. Yeah, I worked in Alpen's booth last year because I didn't get renewed in time, so they kicked me out and put someone else in. So I was on the waiting list.
Yeah.
And then they finally kind of pulled some strings and got me in this year.
Nice.
But yeah, now this year.
That's good.
The thing is just like getting your foot in the door. Like this year, I kind of have I think it's a crummy spot, but we'll see how it turns out. But at least I'm there, and then I can kind of maybe next year get to a better spot.
Right.
And we'll see. But the people that want to find you usually. So.
Right.
It'll work out.
Yeah, I'll be good. Yeah. Well, if I have time, I'll swing by. We'll have to chat for a sec.
Yeah, it'd be good to see you.
Yeah. Yeah, first time I met you was 2 years ago at the Hunt Expo. I don't even know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
But, nice.
That was a big turnout. That show was a good one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you guys had a pretty good spot in that show too.
yeah, that's what really bummed me because like I was right there by all my partners,
Yeah.
um, in a good spot, and now I'm like kicked out into that little new corner. I don't know if you saw the map yet of the layout, but they've
Mm-hmm.
opened up a new little room, and I'm out in that thing.
Gotcha.
But there's Black Flag is there, which is a partner of mine,
Nice.
and then
Okay.
I think I think there's another like pretty well known brand that's in there too, so should get some
Cool.
traffic.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm recording right now.
Okay.
I think we can just kind of hop into it. I don't think there's any reason to dance around anything. So,
Yeah.
um, I want to kind of just. You've probably talked about it on other podcasts, but I don't really know like your story and where you started and where you and like how you got to where you're at.
Hmm.
This podcast, it's called The Creative Hunter because a lot of it I talk to people who are in the industry who are creating stuff, whether it's they're like video guys, they have a YouTube channel, something like that is a big part of the podcast. We also do a bunch of other stuff too when it comes to hunting, but that's like a lot of our listeners I want to get into that creative space. And so you're a guy who's kind of been there, done that. You're on YouTube, you make a lot of your own films. And so I'd love to kind of hear from that perspective. What was your journey? How'd you get into it? Like, why did you want to do it?
Yeah. No, that's a I've danced around it a little bit and talked, a little bit about it, but never really focused on that in a conversation or a podcast. So that's cool that you want to dive into it. Yeah, I started just making my own YouTube videos back when I was probably 16, 17. So it was pretty new in the social media space. I don't even think I had Instagram when I started posting on YouTube. I think it was like Facebook and YouTube when I started. And then like 2 years later, Instagram hit the scene and I downloaded that. I want to say it was something like that. And just kind of started throwing them up there for fun, like making little shed hunting videos when I'd go out shed hunting, and kind of started to build a following, not intentionally. It just kind of happens, people follow who they want. So started to get a little bit of a following and get some momentum. And then I had a buddy who's Eric Chesser with Hush, and he was young and doing Times Up at the time, which is a Utah brand, and they were doing YouTube, some hunting, a lot of shed hunting, and it was around that time he started Hush, and then really took it serious, and like this was going to be his full time career and his business, and he took off with that, and that kind of I don't know, gave me the vision too, like, oh, this can be done, like this can be monetized. And I didn't really start monetizing it at that point, but like I then knew that that was a possibility. It went from just a hobby to like, oh, there's something with this, like you can do something with it. And so yeah, around 18 to 22, I just kept sharing content with no intention to make money, but I knew that was a possibility down the road. And then I think I was 23 when Hush hired me, and I was able to quit my full-time job and go full-time working with Hush as a cameraman, videographer, social media manager, and start making money in the industry and doing this.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what year was that when you went on with Hush?
It would have been right around COVID, so
Okay.
2019, I want to say.
Nice.
I did 2 years with them. I think 2020 is when I quit and left. So
Okay.
it was 2018 or 2019, somewhere in there, that I started
Gotcha.
with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so sounds like you did a lot of stuff there. You kind of had a couple roles there.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, I got into it, and that's what they were looking for. They had Logan, who was doing all of that for them. And so with three guys, Brian, Casey, and Eric, they were like, man, we're stretching Logan too thin to, you know, have him accompany us on all these hunts, go home, film them all, and then do all the other things that go on behind the scenes. So they brought me on. My focus was kind of stay with Eric and a little bit of BMAC, the Salt Lake guys, and Casey and Logan, Casey could hang out together up in Idaho and do stuff. And so that was kind of the reason behind it. And so me and Logan kind of split the load, if you will, and started from there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good dudes. And Logan just left too to go to Alpen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, he has I think that'll be a good opportunity for him. Like, I can't speak for him, but I can only imagine he's got kids, and a small family, and it's a demanding job to be out filming hunts all fall and be away from the family. So now he can kind of be more consistent with his schedule, probably make a little bit more money and do a few things that I think he's been wanting to do with Hush, and so I think it'll be a good fit for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool step in his journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were kind of starting off, like you were saying, filming your shed hunt videos, like kind of for the first time, what made you want to film them?
Man, I don't know. Like it's funny because I don't really, I used to at the time, but I don't really consume much content. I make it, but if I'm watching like Instagram reels or YouTube videos, very rarely is it hunting related, actually. So, but at the time, I guess I was consuming a little bit more, probably because I wasn't getting out as much. And now that I can get out a lot more, I don't care to consume as much of the content. But maybe kind of back then, I was consuming content and still learning, trying to pick up on things from guys that were already, well-known hunters and whatnot. So probably a little bit of that. And then it wasn't ever like a famous thing or attention thing. Like, I'm a pretty introverted guy, but that's all I do is hunt. Like, that's really all I have to share. Like, growing up in high school, if I wasn't at school playing baseball, I was hunting ducks typically. Go out and jump shoot the canal, or go throw out a spread on the ice in the late season and shoot ducks. And like, photo wise, that's all I had to share. I wasn't out at parties with friends, so I didn't have like friend pictures and groups pictures to share or anything like that. So once everyone got on social media and started posting, that's like all I had. So I guess that's kind of where it started. And then, once I saw that people enjoyed seeing it, then it was like, oh, like people actually like this, and I'm connecting with like-minded individuals that on here and messaging them, meeting new people. And so that, I guess you could say, that's why I started sharing more often.
Yeah. No, I think that's cool. And it's an interesting thing because you were kind of like right at that beginning of like the Instagram, the social media days, as far as like hunting stuff.
For sure.
And it sounds like you just kind of like, it was just super organic and natural the way that led into it.
Yeah, it was very organic. Hindsight, I wish I would have had the business mode and mindset like those first 5 years, because while I have experienced like good growth and it's led to a career in this, I think I could have been, 10 steps ahead of where I am now in the journey if I would have just immediately off the bat taken it serious. But I mean, it happened how it happened, and it was organic. And I do think that's important too, because people are good at weeding out the fake ones, I guess you can say, or the guys that are in it for the wrong reasons. And so maybe it wouldn't have worked out for the better, if I went into it just out of purely to make money out of it or something. But yeah, that's one thing I would suggest, like, is if anyone's wanting to get into this space, like, man, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, because if you're trying to make money at it, like, some guys can do it, but most people see through the BS, and, guys with those intentions don't make it too far typically. It's more of the organic, like doing it out of pure passion, and those are the guys that really make it.
Yeah.
And that's probably with anything though, really.
Oh, true, for sure.
But just particularly with the hunting space.
Yeah. So if someone feels that way, like they're super passionate about it,
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that maybe you would tell them if they wanted to be in a position like you? Like you mentioned, like you might have a bit more of a business mindset in those first few years. Like, what is some of those things that could help someone progress quicker?
Yeah, connections is a huge thing in the hunting space. Like meeting people, like go to every show you can, go to every event you can, message everybody you can, and don't be fake, be yourself, and the right relationships will fall into play. Like you'll connect with certain people more than others, and then like you go from there. But build relationships, get out there and kind of be willing to sell yourself, and be vulnerable and accept being turned down. But yeah, connections and relationships is a big thing in the space and can open up a lot of doors for you, and sometimes they're not even maybe what you set out for. But like I know some guys might want to do exactly what I'm doing, create content, get paid, go out and make videos, do all that. But maybe that's not exactly your calling. And, down the road, a few doors open up, and next thing you know, you're a rep for a business that you love that's in the space, or a product guy, or anything like that. Like there's so many different doors that can open up and ways you can make money in the space. And I think just not necessarily being a yes man, but being open to all of those things is really critical for getting going.
Yeah, that's one of the things I tell people too, because yeah, just networking in general
Mm-hmm.
will just get you so far.
Yep.
That's the
Yeah.
reason I have a booth at the expo this year, is because like the first people I ever worked with is Hardside Hydration, and now like I'm sharing a booth with them at the expo, which is cool.
Yeah. There you go. And then you don't know who's gonna, like, you've got your new product that you just launched, and you never know who you're gonna meet through that then
Mm-hmm.
might have another business opportunity that they bring to you that you would have never even thought about, and now all of a sudden
Yeah,
it's in your lap, and that takes you on a cool journey. So yeah,
yeah,
it's all networking, man. Networking's the biggest thing. And then consistent, relatable content and just being your genuine self.
yeah.
Like those
When
things are the bread and butter.
yeah, dude. Um, we don't have to spend too much time on this, but um, everybody says make or be authentic, and like how do you show your authenticity in what you do? Just like yeah, throwing that out there.
Um, I mean, I don't know. I think consistent content is the best way. Podcasts are really good because
Yeah,
a photo on Instagram, it's hard to judge, who somebody really is. Like that can sometimes a picture can come off wrong to somebody and it doesn't really depict who you are or something. Like photos are tough, but like a podcast is good because they can hear you speak, they can feel your energy, and kind of get to know you at a deeper level. Full length YouTube videos are good at that. So I guess you could say that's what I've done, where you're speaking to the camera and people can get a little bit better gauge of who you are. That's the problem
yeah,
with Instagram, is a lot of it's just photos. Now we have reels, but you see a lot of photos and stuff, and people can create an opinion about you that is not even close to who you are, right? And so yeah, YouTube's good for that. You can get to know your audience a little more. They can get to know you. Podcasts are great. So long form content is a good one for showing
yeah,
off your authentic self. And the thing is it's not like life's not fair. Like some people will connect with others more than like maybe you get Cam Hanes. He's got 1 million followers or whatever, and a giant following, and tons of people connect with him and admire him or whatever. And then you might have somebody else, maybe myself, that will never get to that level because I only can connect with this group of people, a smaller group, and it's just the way it is. But you can still, whether you have 1 million followers, 500,000, 10,000, 50,000, or whatever, you can still find a way to work with that group of people, and
yep,
because those are your customers, the people that really believe in you and connect with you. The people that are just like they consume your stuff and maybe talk crap a little bit here and there and just like your stuff for entertainment, but keep scrolling, those aren't the people that are going to make the dream a reality. It's the people that really follow who you are and believe in you. And you can make that work with, a very small following, actually.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me for sure, because I've seen it. I've seen it before, and I've seen it in. I mean, I look at a lot of my degree in school is social media communication, so that's something that we focus on a lot. Is you can look at an Instagram page with tons of followers, but they might not have as many like interactions as a page with less followers has.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're not being as authentic, and their customer base isn't as loyal, right? Even though there's a lot of followers, and so it kind of applies to exactly what you're saying. Like,
Right. Yeah,
you
some
can,
people have a lot of followers and they still can't monetize it very well.
yeah,
And
exactly,
somebody like myself, I think I started making like I was full time. I wasn't making a ton of money, but I was still full time with like 20,000 followers, somewhere in
right,
there. Where like some people might have 250K and they don't even make side money off of it. And there's a lot of different layers that make it go, like that make this a real business, and they all have to be rocking and rolling. So gotta have you got to be able to sell yourself and connect with people, and that's the main thing. And sometimes all it takes is 10,000 people to make it work.
yep, yeah,
But yeah, like dude, it's if as long as you're authentic and genuine, there's going to be people that connect with you, and it's just putting yourself out there and being vulnerable and finding them. Like we all have those people that we click with, and they're out there for everyone. So it's just about finding them.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
dude. So I just watched your film you just put out, Chasing 200, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, awesome video, and I watched your mule deer hunt last year too. I've probably seen a couple others of your films.
Thank you.
Um, you do a really good job with those, and you self film everything pretty much, right?
Yeah. A couple times I've had like a buddy for a day that's like hunting
Yeah,
with me on the weekend, and he might be able to capture a couple clips for me that I can implement. But yeah, for the most part, I'm solo, just because that's how I like to hunt. Personally, I'm just a loner type of guy. I like to not have to second guess or like sit there and like say we glassed a buck up. I hate well, what do you think, man? Like that like back and forth. I want to just like have a plan pop in my head and go. I don't want
yeah,
to sit and waste time, and if I fail, it's on me. But if I get him, it's on me, like I kind of, I guess you could say, selfish in a way when it comes to hunting styles that way. But yeah, like, and then another thing, just like a lot of people don't have the time. I'm fortunate to have a lot of time, so I just end up hunting alone a lot. Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
dude.
thank
You
you
were,
for saying that
yeah, for
about the
sure.
films.
Yeah. I want to come back to that, to your mule deer film from August, but you were just in Arizona for like dang near the whole month, weren't you?
Yeah, I did 10 days in December, and then that tag ended. Um,
Yeah.
and then I did 23 days in January.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No deer came home empty-handed.
Yeah. It's a
Massive
bummer.
massive commitment for an OTC tag,
Yeah.
financially and time-wise. I was like sitting down there thinking like this is a dumb OTC hunt, and I'm treating it like I just drew a coveted tag.
Yeah.
It was
But it can be a good hunt though.
for sure. And my
Yeah.
hunting style was different. Like when I went down for the
Yeah.
last 10 days of the hunt, I was pretty open to like a good, like mature buck, but didn't have to have like the best antlers. Like I wasn't super picky. Missed a buck. He jumped my string and I just missed him. And then when that hunt ended, the new 2025 tag starts to where you can hunt January, August, September, and December. So when that tag started, I went into it way more picky, and I knew of a 200 inch class buck that was down in this spot, And so for January, when I went down, I was exclusively just trying to kill him. And I wasn't going to shoot any other buck unless another anomaly walked out, which wasn't going to happen. But so that's kind of why that hunt drug out so long, and I didn't get one. Is I didn't even see the buck. Actually, he ghosted me the whole time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's kind of how that played out.
Yeah. Do you think that buck's alive?
I don't know. So
Yeah.
my buddy, he's from out of state, and that how I found out about him is I was really close. I was probably like an hour drive from there hunting, and uh, a buddy of mine was hunting this buck, and then he had to leave and go home, and he couldn't come back. So he hit me up, and he was like, "Hey, dude, like I had to head home, but I know of a good buck if you want to go after him, because I can't go back and hunt him anymore this year." So that's kind of how I found out, and then he'd seen him like 2 to 3 weeks before I got there.
Hmm.
So what happened in that time between, I don't know if he got shot or maybe he got wounded, or um, I don't know if did you go down there at all in January, did you say?
I didn't know.
Gotcha. Yeah, so this year it was very dry. In this
Yeah.
particular spot, they hadn't had rain since August. And so everything was dead. And in the desert, when the rainstorms come through, it doesn't always hit like the whole area. It's kind of patchy, so you'll get green up in certain spots. And the deer usually concentrate on those. Well, the area that this deer was in, um, like I did a giant circle around the whole like area that he could possibly be in, um, and there was no green. Like it was all dead,
Hmm.
but there was deer there still. So I don't know if he just moved to find like a different water hole, and like the water that my buddy usually sees him nearest kind of dried up, and so he moved areas a little bit, or if the does just weren't in heat there, so he went on a mission to go find does that were in heat. Um, yeah, I haven't quite figured out what happened, but I guess
Yeah.
that's why we like hunting.
Right. That's kind of how it goes a lot of
Yeah,
the time.
yeah. So we'll be back in
Nice.
August and mess around, see what we can find.
Heck yeah. That'll be
Yeah.
cool. So you put out a lot of trail cameras for mule deer. One of the things, this is kind of a personal question for me, is like I haven't put out a lot of trail cams for mule deer, but I
Mhm.
want to know like what's your strategy on putting cameras out? Maybe it's just like if you're looking for terrain features or something. Like what are you looking at when you're throwing cameras out?
Yeah, it's tough. It depends on the terrain and like the unit, the state, maybe. Um, if you're in dry climate, deer and elk, they need water, like in the summer, especially. If it's over 80 degrees, animals are going to be hitting water. So water is a good spot for trail cameras if it's allowed. I think some states, every state kind of has different trail cam
Yeah.
regulations. So check up on those. But water's big in warm climate, and then mountain mule deer, I guess you could say like that's what I hunt the most. I typically don't focus on water for those deer because they get enough uh, moisture from the grass they eat, and usually there's rainstorms and whatnot. So I don't focus on water too much for them, but it's mostly like transition points from bedding to feeding. And typically what you can do is I was doing this back, gosh, years ago before there was Onyx maps, before there was any mapping system. I was just on Google Earth, and I would zoom in as tight as I could on hillsides and basins and ridge lines, and you can usually see like cutouts in the hillside where animals are frequenting and making game trails. And that's those are good spots to put them because clearly over the years it's getting constant use to beat up in the hillside and make a trail. So then I'll typically follow that trail into like the nearest bedding zone from feeding, and then put a camera right there. If you want to go into the bedding zones, that's a good spot too. You're probably going to bump them the initial time you put the camera up, but that's a good spot. I've gotten deer on camera in bedding zones, feeding zones. It's tough because usually it's like high country basins and there's not like good trees, and it's hard to get them to funnel and walk right by your camera. So you really want to try to find those pinch points where the animals have to kind of funnel. Because man, I've had a lot of cameras where I was glassing a hillside. I knew I had a camera on it actually, and I'm watching a deer and he's walking and feeding within 100 yards of my camera, and never hits the camera, So that's where those pinch points come into play. Is it kind of boosts your odds of getting them.
Yeah. How many cameras do you normally run?
I've got it like I've at the most I've had is like 25 in my arsenal. Now I've kind of got like
Nice.
10, 12.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to run cameras, and it's expensive if you're running cell cameras. You can't run them in Utah anymore, actually, August through December, any kind of trail
Right.
camera.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of, it sucks because it is fun to get, that content throughout the year, but that kind of took a little bit of pressure off my shoulders from trying to manage them year round. So now it's more seasonal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's expensive if you run a lot of cell cams, and it's time consuming if you're constantly running up and checking the regular cameras. So 10
Yeah.
is manageable. I can usually handle that.
Nice.
And yeah, cameras are tough. Like they don't show everything that's in the area. Um, they're just like a piece to the puzzle. They're a tool. Like they might give me some info, and they might be a dud and be a waste of my time. It's kind of just like a piece to it, but there is usually something you can pick up from it. Maybe it's not a big buck, but you pick up on a little bit more of the deer behavior in the area that then you can take into a hunt or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always suggest throwing cams out if you got the time or you can do it.
Yeah. I think it's fun. Um, I threw out one literally like 30 minutes from my house because there's a bunch of whitetail down in the river bottom here, and I got a couple nice whitetails on there,
Hell yeah.
but I never hunted them. I have never whitetail hunted, but I have a bunch right here by home, and I'm in Idaho, and there's still a bunch of whitetail up here, but I'm gonna throw a couple out this year because in Idaho, I think as of right now we can have cameras up as long as we want
That's
during the
cool.
season, which is kind of nice. And I maybe don't quote me on that, but I think that's the rule right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna run a few this year and just see what I can find for fun.
Yeah.
But
If you can't be out in the field, it's always nice to have some kind of, eyes out there.
yeah, exactly.
And then those big bucks, a lot of times, if you're looking for deer, sometimes elk, but they get nocturnal, and you gotta kind of rely on them too to give you any little bit of information, because getting eyes on them with the glass gets tough sometimes of the years, and if they've had hunting
Yeah,
pressure or something, and yeah, if you can
for
run some
sure.
cams during hunting season, that could give you some good intel.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, kind of last thing, and we can wrap it up. How's your season look this year? What's kind of your schedule like? You do any spring hunts or just kind of waiting for the fall?
Well, I do a lot of shed hunting in the spring. That's
Yeah,
kind of like my big thing that I'm looking forward to right now. And that usually runs now through end of like April. Once in a while, I'll get out in May. Maybe it'll be like a moose shed hunt or something when I've had to wait for snow to get melted.
hmm,
So that's all I'll really do. Maybe I'll pick up an OTC turkey tag. I've done that a couple times and shot a couple turkeys, but it's not like a hunt I'm itching for.
yeah,
Um, Bear, I don't have plans for bear. So really it's just going to be shed hunt and then go into summer scouting, which is usually like late June. Well, I'll take that back. I'll go to Hawaii, hunt axis deer in June.
oh, cool,
Yeah, that's a cool kind of vacation style hunt.
yeah,
Um, then it's summer scouting till August, and then I'll have probably 2 deer tags. I'll have to see what I draw, but I'm banking on
yeah,
2 deer tags and 1 to 2 elk tags. So I'll have a few hunts for sure this fall, but pretty much sticking to the usual deer and elk, and yeah.
heck yeah, dude, I like it.
Yeah. What about
Good,
yourself?
dude. Yeah. So I love spring bear hunting. So I'm gonna chase some bears this year. In April, May, and then it's about it till August, and start hunting mule deer for a few weeks. I'll have two, maybe three mule deer tags this year because in Idaho I can actually get two tags. I can buy a second tag,
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
I might just do that and have two general tags, which will be fun. So I'll hunt the archery season, rifle season, and then I'll have an elk tag too, and
Nice.
so that's
Ida-
good. I want to. What's that?
Idaho's one state I gotta figure out and hunt a little bit more.
Yeah,
I feel like it's kind of overlooked. Like
a little bit.
great animals out there. I mean, I've never hunted it to know what the hunting pressure's like, but I
Yeah,
feel like not a ton of people talk about it in my circle, at least, or on social media. And
yeah. Let's keep it that way.
I know you probably don't want it,
Just
want
kidding.
a lot of people up there, but I'm like, I don't know why I don't ever reply up there. I guess it's because of the hassle of like being the first to get a tag
Yeah,
and going through
it's kind
that,
of
and
tough.
I hate that.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's great animals and great hunting up there. I'd like to do it at least once or twice in the near future.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
dude. You should come up here. It'd be fun.
yeah,
I'm trying to get my wife a couple animals this year too. She shot her first elk last year, so gonna try and get her on a mule deer this year. So
right on.
that'll be kind
Was
of
it with
fun
a
too.
bow?
It was with the rifle.
Oh, nice.
She drew a pretty good tag, so we went out for a few days and she got a decent bull. So
Cool.
it was fun. Yeah, for her first one, it was a pretty nice bull. It was like a 270, 280 bull.
Did she have like hunting experience growing up, or just kind of
No,
through you?
yeah, I mean her family, they like hunting, and but they just never have done it much. And they're from
Gotcha.
Arizona, so they just didn't have a lot of opportunity
Yeah.
as like to hunt every year. So that was her first tag she's ever had. First time we got out, and it was fun. So
Right on, man.
yeah, it was good. I want to get her a bow because she wants to start shooting and do some archery stuff, which I think would be fun too.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Archery is a whole other
I
world.
know. I
And
know.
I feel like I'm still early in it. Like, still
Yeah.
get target panic once in a while at the range where you're like, gosh, why can't I move my pin up like a quarter inch? It seems like I'm
Dude, I
holding low
know.
every time. That's a whole other world, is getting into bow hunting and archery.
Yeah. Do you ever shoot the attack events?
I've done a few, usually just Salt
Nice.
Lake,
Yeah.
the snowbird one. It's fun. It's a good practice and just hang out session with your buddies and shoot the shit
Yeah.
and shoot bows. Like, it's fun. I should probably do a few more of them and uh, kind of network up at those. I've heard Bozeman's a pretty good one. Colorado is a really good one. And then I guess there's one out east. I think it was in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Something
That's a
like
pretty
that.
good one, somebody said, as far as like
Yeah.
networking goes, kind of coming back to that. But
Nice.
yeah, I probably should start tapping into a few more of those and going and shooting. But yeah,
Yeah.
Solitude's a good one. It's right by home, so that's why I've
Nice.
done that.
Yeah, you can't beat that. They're kind of hard to get to and they're a long ways out.
Right.
But those ones that are close are nice. I've been to Big Sky twice now,
Cool.
and yeah, they're fun. They're fun because you just get to you get kind of almost a real world experience
Yeah.
on the mountain, shooting your bow.
Yeah. The biggest
So
thing, like shooting out, I mean, you get it probably a little bit if you're whitetail hunting, but a lot in the West is like the bow cant. And like when you draw
hmm
back, it's not like it was at the archery range when you're flat ground, shooting 90 yards. When you're
yeah,
60 yards or 70 yards from an animal, and you feel like you're like leveled out, and you have to freaking turn or whatever and cant your bow. Like that's tough. And so that kind of puts you in those situations and brings out those tougher shots that you got to practice. And uh, yeah, so that's what's good about tack. I always
yeah.
break a few arrows at that event.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's good. Well, dude, we can wrap it up. We can do another podcast in a few weeks or something. That'd be fun. But stay on and let's chat after. Where can people find you if they're not following you or haven't heard of you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and YouTube. You could find me at Martin_Chag, or you could just search my name, Martin Chagnovich, on either of those platforms, and yeah, catch me there.
Okay. Heck yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's good chatting.
Yeah, for sure, man. We'll see you later.